Hi, Dr. Paul Haider, Master Herbalist Spiritual Teacher here. I want to talk about warming and cooling foods. You know, it's really cold outside. A lot of people have snow in the United States all over. Big storm coming through. People are cold. But it's important to eat the right foods in order to get our body in the right place. So we become warm. I remember in particular, it was hot as the dickens here one day, and we walked into a grocery store that had a coffee shop inside, and I was meeting with a friend, and here he is wearing a sweatshirt, I mean a big thick one, and he was like cold as all get out. I mean, there's something wrong going on. Not good. We really need to think about what we're eating and taking in every day, because our meridians of our body are warming us and causing changes in our body. And in Chinese medicine, this is really important. We have to have that balance all the time. And if we're eating, you know, all kinds of cooling foods when it's really cold outside, it's not going to be good. Or we're eating a lot of, hot foods when it's really hot outside. That's not going to be good either. So we really need to think about this on a regular basis and take that into account. And when we do, we feel a lot better. There's no doubt about it. Cooling foods are important because they get rid of the excess heat in our body and bring about a yin energy in the body, and calming the mind and removing toxins from the body. And these foods are very important when we feel hot in general. Maybe you just have some condition and you're feeling hot. So it's good for when you feel anxious also, and you have a red face and your eyes are red and you're irritated, all the time, and you have irritation going on in your skin. And the cooling foods are important for headaches and oral ulcers and cold sores and a coated tongue. And if you're always having heartburn and you have a dark urine, a rapid pulse, constipation, and feeling thirsty all the time, all of these might be diabetes also, but they also might be that you're eating the wrong food. So that is another possibility. And so eating cooling foods is really important, especially for keeping away disease. And some of the cooling veggies are all the leafy greens. That's why leafy greens are so important. I find them absolutely necessary for bringing life into the body. And cucumber, lettuce, Swiss chard, spinach, watercress. My wife loves the watercress, there's no doubt about it. Water chestnuts, mushrooms, alfalfa sprouts, radishes, kelp, tomatoes, celery, seaweeds of all kinds, broccoli, all kinds of different things like bitter melon. Those are all great for cooling the body in general. As far as the fruits go, grapefruit and kiwi are really good, pears and persimmons, apples and bananas, oranges, watermelon, star fruit, tangerine, lemons. Those are all the cooling fruits that are really good for the meridians of our body. As far as grains go, buckwheat, barley, and millet are really the cooling ones. As far as beans go, mung beans are really good for this. Also, like natto soy, which is organic, is good, and organic tofu, which is also another cooling one. Beverages, green tea, black tea, chrysanthemum tea, and peppermint tea are really good for cooling the body. As far as warming and hot foods go, this is when it's cold outside. Baby, when it's cold outside. These are very important when you have cold hands and cold feet and you just feel terrible all the time, and you just feel bloated after eating, and you have arthritic joints and retain fluids. Warming foods increase circulation, get rid of cold feeling, and bring more yang or qi energy into the body, and which is important to keep balance. And balance is absolutely important. And some of the warming veggies are mustard greens and pumpkin and winter squash and onions and leeks and chives and a few other veggies which are important. And so those are really absolutely important. Veggies are the mainstay of eating, absolutely. Warming fruits include mangoes and raspberries and guavas and cherries and coconut and peaches and nectarines and dates and lychee and loganberries. All these are really warming fruits which will keep you feeling good right now when it's really cold outside. Warming grains are like sticky rice, so you find in Asian markets, chestnut flour, malt, that type of thing. Also, warming seeds are walnuts, pine nuts, pistachio nuts, chestnuts, and caraway seeds. Warming beverages are coffee and spearmint tea, basil, cloves, coriander, ginseng, of course, that's a warming, ginger, pepper, rosemary, nutmeg. A little bit of wine is also warming. The opposite effect if you drink too much. Brown sugar, garlic, cinnamon, hot chilies. Of course, hot chilies moving the energy around. Neutral foods, and those are also neutral foods, and these are important because if you get too many cooling or too many hot food, warming foods, that's not good. But if you have their mainstay of a lot of neutral foods, that's really important also. And they keep a balance of the yin and the yang going on in the body, and they don't promote or lessen ki energy. They just keep it at a normal rate. So neutral veggies are mushrooms and cabbage and potatoes and carrots, corn and turnips, taro root, sweet potatoes, and a few more other foods. I can go on for a long time. Neutral foods include, fruits include plums and olives and figs and berries of all kinds, papaya. We have papaya every morning, really good. Also, pineapple and goji berries and grapes and apricots and a few more. Grains, rice of all kinds is really important as far as the neutral food goes. Neutral beans are any of the broad beans, black organic fermented soybeans, adzuki beans, peanuts, kidney beans, peas, and neutral seeds and nuts include sunflower seeds, lotus seeds. Lotus seeds are great for relaxing also. Black sesame seeds, almonds, and of course all these things are organic. Warming beverages and spices include saffron and honey and licorice and a few more different herbs. Also in general, it's if it's spicy, it's usually a warming type of food. That's kind of a general rule. If it's cool and wet, it's usually a cooling food, but not always. Sometimes they overlap each other. So keep these in mind. Also, if it grows in the sun, it's usually a warming food. If it grows in the ground, underneath the ground, it's usually a cooling food, in generally. But they do overlap, so not always that way. Remember about my friend being, it's hot as blazes outside, and he is wearing a big, thick sweatshirt. I mean, if you're like that all the time, you have cold hands all the time, then you really need to worry about taking some of these foods and balancing out your foods. But a lot of people seem to stick to one food all the time, and that's not really good. It seems very simplistic, but if you have this going on in your life, you really need to check with your, I would recommend a Chinese doctor in your area, or you can give me a call and I'll help you any way I can to help you get that balance going on, and so that you feel great. And it is possible to feel not too hot and not too cool in all situations, and that's really important. Also, warming the soul is very important because a lot of people, I find people right now, a lot of people have really shut off their heart, and that's really not a good thing. And when we do that, we live only from our head, and the head is always getting things wrong. We tend to think that, we tend to think, and a lot of times that thinking leads us into bad situations. But the heart always leads us in the right way. Is absolutely. What if we had more peace in the world? I mean, what would that do? What would more peace in your family look like? What would peace in your, more peace with your spouse be like? What would more peace with your children look like? What would more peace at work look like? Wow, you know. And how would that manifest itself in your life as far as having peace? But the peace starts here. And so we have to spread that peace wherever we go. Have you ever met somebody that just exuded peace and then all of a sudden you felt peaceful yourself? Oh, this is what Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Krishna, and all these different people or prophets did when they came, and they just exuded this feeling of peace, and everybody loved being around them. That's absolutely positively the way it was, and that's why they needed to be around these people. They just felt this. And the same thing goes for love. And the love that we give out is palpable. There's no doubt about it. We can feel that love. Now, how would it be if you felt, more loving and kind and giving to your spouse? What would that look like in your family? And what would it be if you felt more loving and kind and giving to your, relatives in general? Wow, what would that be like? Maybe you don't get along with them. Maybe, maybe you have a hard time with them. I think it's really important that we allow ourselves to be the peacemakers. I mean, a lot of times it's not even possible to be around them, but we can send love them their way if we want to. Sometimes it's just important to spread love at work, you know what I mean? And just be loving and kind and generous, and it's really interesting. When I worked at the university for, 2 universities for almost 20 years, I would bring in a cake on a regular basis. I love baking and cooking and that kind of thing anyway. And I was sorely missed when I left, because everybody said, wow, you were great. You always brought something, Paul. That was really amazing that you did that. And I thought it was about giving love. And I think it was important because a lot of people don't express that love in so many different ways. And when you express love with the food, people love it. They absolutely do. And it wasn't any big deal to me. It wasn't, didn't take much, and I really enjoyed the process anyway. I love cooking. And so it's about expressing that love and caring for people and making a difference in their lives. And when you do that, everything changes. And so what about compassion? How would your life look if you had more compassion for people? What would your relationship be like with your spouse if you have more compassion for what she's going through? Sometimes, maybe she has, the PMS and she's really not feeling good. And what if you had more compassion for her during that time? What about, you have your parents, which are getting older, and sometimes, they get into their 90s and they have a hard time doing just about anything. And what about having more compassion for them when they get to that point, which is not easy. We'll all get there. There's no doubt about it. So what about having compassion? Because I believe that whatever we put out into the world will come back to us 1,000-fold. So if we put out 1,000 times of compassion, 100,000 times of great compassion is going to come back to us. So it's allow ourselves to fill our heart with compassion and help those people who need our help around us. What about those people at work which sometimes need our help and we just don't? We turn away, or we just too busy, or we say, I'll get back to you later. What about having more compassion to those people who really need something to uplift them? A lot of times people, they're looking for something and they are lost, and so they need somebody to guide them. And just a positive word can be compassionate, you know what I mean? Just being positive to a person, uplifting to a person, knowing that everything's going to be fine. Sometimes people get at work, get really so worked up that things are, I got to meet with a boss and I got to make this presentation. How's it going to work out? And just telling if it's all going to be fine, that can make a huge difference and make their lives a lot better. And so about being compassionate in our own lives every single day. And these are the factors to keep our balance in our soul and allow us to grow as human beings and allow us to make a difference in the lives of so many different people. And when we do that, everything changes. Absolutely, positively. So remember, if you want to have warming and cooling foods in your life, remember those different foods. You can get a hold of me at phone number 831-869-9119, 831-869-9119. You can WhatsApp me, you can text me at that number also. You can get a hold of me on my Facebook page under Dr. Paul Haider. That's Paulhaider. And up on the top part there, is there a place to message me, and I'll get right back to you. And also, if you want to email me, my email address is drpaulhaider@gmail.com. That's drpaulhaider@gmail.com. That's drpaulhaider@gmail.com. And all my consultations are free, and we'd love to help you in any way, shape, or form. If you care to make a donation, you can go to my website at www.paulhaider.com. That's www.paulhaider.com. That's www.paulhaider.com. And I greatly appreciate that. Please watch the little ads here. It brings a couple pennies to my wife and I. And I just want to help you heal in any way, shape, or form, whether it be a spiritual or herbal healing. And that's what I try to do every single day. If you love what you see here, please subscribe and tell others. We're trying to get our numbers up. I'd love to see 100,000 subscribers in the next year. And would love to help you in any way, shape, or form I can. So please feel free to get a hold of me. And most of all, just remember one particular thing. I love you.